This is the story of a man who is deeply disappointed and hopeless in his life. But one day he realizes that he possesses a magical pencil. Whatever he draws with it comes into reality. Soon he starts using it to create large amounts of money in gold, and his life completely changes. He becomes the richest man in the city. However, very soon, something happens that changes everything. The story begins in Japan with a boy named Kiin, who is sitting on the street creating a painting of a beautiful girl. While he is busy drawing, another painter named Lichi appears, sitting in a luxurious car with his girlfriend Marsh. It is revealed that Marsh used to be Kiin's girlfriend, but she is now married to Lichi because he is the most famous and wealthy painter in the country. Lichi buys Kiin's paintings and sells them in art galleries under his own name. Kiin receives only 5% of the money, while Lichi keeps the rest for himself. At one point, Kiin goes to check his car, only to find out that it is broken, and he doesn't have enough money to repair it. After some time he returns to the artist colony where he lives in a rented place owned by a landlord named Kwan. The landlord asks for rent, and Kiin manages to pay for that month. But then the landlord demands that next month's rent must also be paid by the next day. This makes Kiin furious and he even feels like hitting him. After that, Kiin goes to an art gallery because a school art exhibition is coming up, and he wants to display his paintings there. He gives all his savings to the gallery owner, but still gets rejected. The owner mocks him, saying that no one is a fan of his work. Meanwhile, a girl named Xiao, who has weak eyesight, works at a barber shop. Because she cannot see properly, she struggles with her work and often feels frustrated. Kiin feels bad for her because he believes himself to be a genius painter, yet his paintings never sell. On the other hand, Lichi's paintings sell instantly just because he is famous, even if he didn't actually create them. Later, Kiin visits the shop where Xiao works. He sees her struggling to cut a customer's hair due to her poor vision, and the customers start yelling at her. Kiin tries to help her and ends up arguing with them, but since he is physically weak, the customers beat him up. That night, Kiin sits at home with Xiao. His body is badly injured from the beating, his face covered in blood and bruises. Despite this, he gives Xiao a gift, a new pair of shoes. Xiao becomes very happy because she knows he cares about her. Even though she cannot see him clearly, the two share a strong emotional bond. Kiin's friend Meng is also there with them. Xiao leaves so that the two friends can spend time together. Later that night, Kiin and Meng sit on the rooftop. After a while, Meng falls asleep, but Kiin stays awake, staring at the sky. Suddenly, he sees a spaceship flying above. Pretending to be asleep, he watches as the spaceship stops, and 3 aliens descend onto the rooftop. Realizing they are on a painter's house, Kiin quickly hides and secretly tries to record them. However, the aliens sense his presence and quickly return to their ship, flying away. Before leaving, they accidentally drop a mysterious object on the ground. Kiin quickly picks it up before anyone else notices. The next morning, Kiin tells Meng everything that happened. Meng laughs at him and doesn't believe a word, especially since what Kiin describes looks exactly like a picture already hanging on the wall. This frustrates Kiin, leaving him speechless. Meng removes the picture from the wall so Kiin can feel at ease. Kiin then goes out to work as a street artist. While testing the lines on his paper, something strange happens. His drawing suddenly turns into a real stone. Shocked, he suspects that the strange object he found is magical and responsible for this. To test it, he draws an apple and it becomes real. He is completely stunned and can't believe what he is seeing. Confused and a bit scared, he rushes home and tells everything to his mother, trying to prove that he isn't lying. He draws a gold bar on paper but nothing happens. His friend laughs at him and throws the paper out the window. Suddenly, the drawing transforms into a real gold bar outside and falls on the landlord's head. At that moment, the landlord and Kiin were arguing, but everything stops when they realize that what hit him was real gold. The landlord immediately calms down and accepts the gold bar as compensation. Now convinced of the power of the magical pen, Kiin begins to think about how to use it for his benefit. He creates another gold bar and it appears in real life. Overjoyed, he and Meng decide to build a new house so they can leave their miserable living conditions behind. Kiin draws a beautiful house and suddenly, it appears in the middle of the street, shocking everyone in the city. People panic and call the police to investigate. As the police arrive and inspect the house, Kiin stands outside, terrified that he will be caught. He quickly decides to erase the drawing. To his surprise, the eraser on the pen works too, and the house disappears instantly. After returning home, Kiin decides that instead of creating houses repeatedly and attracting attention, he should create money. He writes 20 million on paper, hoping it will turn into real money. To his amazement, the number becomes real. Then he draws actual cash and money starts filling up his house in a strange way. Soon, he changes his appearance, buys new clothes and cars, and begins living a luxurious life. The next day he goes house hunting, determined to leave his old neighborhood. At one of the properties he runs into Lichi, who is also trying to buy a new house. Lichi mocks Kiin, seeing him as a poor and failed artist who could never afford such a place. Enraged, Kiin decides to buy not one but 2 houses, especially after Mang encourages him. Lychee is left shocked when he realizes that Kian actually has the money, something even he couldn't manage at that moment. The next day, Kian decides to take advantage of his wealth and even plans to get married. He throws a grand party and invites many people. During the party, Xiao arrives. Kian approaches her, confesses his love, and asks her to marry him. However, she surprises him by saying that she is not ready for marriage and leaves the party. Kian runs after her and stops her at the building entrance, asking why she rejected him. Xiao explains that she didn't want to embarrass him in front of everyone. Now that Kian has become rich and successful, she believes he can marry someone suitable for his new status. Although Kian deeply cares about Xiao, she never truly acknowledges his help or shows interest in him. This frustrates him and he finally admits his love openly. He also reveals the truth, that he never sold any paintings and that all his wealth comes from a magical pen dropped by aliens, which can turn drawings into reality. Xiao is shocked but finds it hard to believe, so Kian decides to prove it to her. While they are talking, the same alien spaceship passes overhead again, but Kian doesn't notice because he is focused entirely on Xiao. After the party, they return home and Mang joins them. Kian takes out a painting and draws a pair of eyes on it. Suddenly, those eyes appear on Mang's shoulder in real life. Everyone is terrified. Kian quickly erases them and then starts thinking about how he can restore Xiao's eyesight. He decides to draw a complete painting to fix her vision. He spends the entire night working on it. By morning, the painting is complete, but Xiao feels that nothing has changed. Disappointed, she tries to leave the house again. However, as soon as she steps outside the door, something unbelievable happens. She suddenly disappears, and at that exact moment, another version of Xiao emerges out of the painting. Now she finally has her eyes and can see again. Everyone is completely shocked and can hardly believe what they are witnessing. Xiao is extremely happy that she has been restored. After that, Kian takes her around the city because she had never truly seen it before. Meanwhile, Mang is also spending time with a girl he had liked for a long time. After some time, Kian organizes an auction of his paintings, and people come from everywhere to buy them. Suddenly, a news report appears on TV, talking about 3 strange incidents. A Hollywood actress has mysteriously lost her eyes. 20 million has been stolen from a bank in China, and a car has suddenly disappeared while its owner was sitting inside it with his girlfriend. Journalists begin investigating all these cases. One reporter even discovers that an animal has suddenly vanished as well. At the same time, a police investigator is reviewing CCTV footage from the bank and notices that the money disappeared without anyone entering or leaving. He decides to trace the stolen money using the serial numbers printed on it. He immediately calls another investigator and informs him about a poor painter named Kian who has suddenly become rich and famous overnight. This raises suspicion, and the investigator decides to track Kian. Soon, he discovers that the money Kian is spending is actually the same money that was stolen from the bank. Because of this, the investigator decides to bring him in for questioning. It turns out that one of the investigators is already present at the auction, observing everything. Suddenly, he stands up with his partner and asks Kian and Mang to come with them. They both agree and go with him to a room inside a villa. There, the investigator questions them about the bank robbery and the sudden appearance of money in their possession. Kian and Mang insist that they have not stolen anything and are clearly very nervous. While talking, Mang finally uses his intelligence for the first time and explains to the investigator that Kian possesses a magical ability that can turn any drawing into reality. To prove it, they demonstrate by making a car appear instantly. The investigator is stunned and finally believes that Kian truly has some kind of supernatural power. Because of this, he lets them go so Kian can complete his auction. After that, Kian returns and reassures everyone that he is safe. Once the auction ends, everyone goes back to his house. They all sit together, still shaken, realizing how close they came to going to jail. At that moment, Kian realizes something important. The pen is not truly magical in the way he thought. Instead, it transfers objects from one place to another. This realization fills him with stress because he never wanted to harm anyone or be seen as a thief. Soon, another news report confirms that a car has mysteriously disappeared, and it turns out to be the same car that Kian now has. Because of this, the investigator begins keeping a close watch on him. Then an official order is given to arrest Kian for theft. Kian notices a police car parked outside his house and becomes extremely anxious, fearing that he will be sent to jail. Shortly after, his ex-girlfriend Marsh arrives, her face showing signs of being beaten. She apologizes to Kian for leaving him and marrying Lychee. She reveals that Lychee assaulted her out of jealousy. Kian responds by admitting that he was always too absorbed in his art and didn't truly understand her situation before. At that time, he had no money and desperately needed funds for his father's treatment. They both drink together until they come to their senses. Kian then decides to tell her the complete truth about the magical pen. However, unknown to him, Lychee is secretly watching everything through a camera hidden in Marsh's clothes. It turns out that this entire situation was part of Lychee's plan to uncover the truth. He is shocked when he learns about the pen's real power. Meanwhile, Xiao is watching TV and sees a report about an actress who has lost one of her eyes. She feels deeply guilty because she realizes that it happened because of her. The next day, the police investigator arrives at Qian's house to take the magical pen, especially after seeing the news about the stolen car. To him, everything still feels like something out of a science fiction movie, and he struggles to fully believe it. Qian is terrified because he thinks he will go to jail. However, the investigator assures him that if he hands over the pen, he will be considered innocent and no harm will come to him. Qian agrees and opens his safe, but to his shock, the pen is gone. A few hours earlier, while Qian was drunk and asleep on the floor, someone had secretly entered his house. Without being noticed, they stole the magical pen from the safe and kidnapped Marsh before escaping. Detectives saw the person leaving the house, but he lied, saying he was just taking his wife home. At this moment, Lychee is already on a plane with his assistant and a tied-up Marsh, ensuring she cannot escape. He begins thinking about everything he can create using the pen and decides to organize a grand art exhibition. Soon, his exhibition appears in the middle of the city, destroying many surrounding structures. When Lychee arrives, he is mesmerized by its beauty. He then creates a magnificent palace and declares himself an emperor. Soon after, he decides that he wants to marry the most beautiful woman in the world. He sees a magazine featuring Miss Beauty Queen Alice and starts drawing her so she can appear before him. At that exact moment, Alice is participating in a beauty contest. Just as the host declares her the winner and someone steps forward to crown her, she suddenly disappears and appears in front of Lychee's palace. Completely shocked, she thinks she might be dreaming. Lychee tells her that he has brought her here so he can marry her. Furious, Alice hits him in the face with the pen, causing his nose to bleed. Guards immediately capture her to prevent her from attacking again. Soon, the police arrive at the scene to retrieve the magical pen. However, Lychee refuses to hand it over, believing it rightfully belongs to him and that he deserves to use it to fulfill his dreams, even if it only transfers objects from one place to another. It is then revealed that Lychee has built his palace near an airport runway. After some time, he decides to leave Earth altogether and creates a spacecraft. But just as it is completed, another alien spaceship appears in front of him, the same one that dropped the pen earlier. Three strange creatures descend from the ship. They are green in color and each has a tail. One of the aliens attacks Qian, grabbing his throat as if trying to kill him in anger. Qian tries to explain that he no longer has the pen. Meanwhile, the other aliens attack the police investigators, knocking their weapons to the ground. Qian points toward Lychee, indicating that he has the pen. However, everyone suddenly realizes that Lychee is no longer there. At that moment, a tank enters, ready to destroy everything while attempting to seize the pen. People panic and run in fear. The aliens then attack the tank. They grab its cannon and bend it inward, causing it to collapse. Lychee and his companions are pulled out from inside the tank, and the magical pen is returned. They are told to forgive everything. However, when the alien leader examines the pen and realizes that it is broken, he and the others become furious and attack Lychee. It seems like Lychee will be killed, but Qian steps in and begs the aliens to spare him. He then reveals the truth, that he was the one who broke the pen. Hearing this, the alien leader calms down and forgives him because Qian had the courage to admit his mistake. The leader then begins erasing all the magical creations and returns everything to its original place. Gradually, everything goes back to normal and all the magical paintings disappear. Although Xiao had regained her eyes earlier, she is unable to see again after everything is restored. In the end, she arrives with the police, and Lychee is arrested for kidnapping Alice and assaulting Marsh. And with that, the story comes to an end.